of orbs.
Yeah.
I kind of like that one super close up though.
Yeah. Maybe I'll just move these out of the way for now. Well, I liked them with my crow this morning, but.
So there's a basic.
I was gonna say we can hold that up because this is what we were.
Anomaly.
This is what we were just talking about.
in people like Stella and I.
Yeah.
And that's that. We are people who have, and just aren't afraid to express a bunch of different sides of us, like of ourselves. And we've realized that this freaks people out because, like, what I thought of immediately, Stella just told me a story of, like, she's been attending a garden club, and when she shows up with so much as a different hairstyle, everyone's like you've changed.
I change my hair all the time, and I don't even think about it because it's just, it depends on the weather, it depends on how much sleep I've gotten, it depends on my mood. The only thing that stays the same is the haircut because it can do so many different things.
Yeah.
And I was just telling her I'd gone to this garden club like 2 or 3 times, and somebody actually said out loud, "Oh, you change your hair." And I was just like, "Oh, yeah, I do."
It's very versatile. We're not Marge Simpson. Like,
Yeah.
that's the first thing I thought of was, oh my gosh, that's why we love certain characters that never change.
They don't change because then we feel secure.
Yeah. So when there's a human in our lives that is very, it's Gemini energy really when it's appearance.
Okay.
So it just changes constantly. Gemini rules media, so like just presentation.
Well, so that gives you an idea because
Yeah.
that's the way media is. Everybody has to look the same all the time.
But so what I was thinking of, this has been on my mind. Like, we think the crazy people are the ones that release all of these sides of themselves, but it's actually the opposite. It's the unintegrated person that has to be just one way all the time and keep it all contained. And that's what leads to mental illness, really, and fragmentation, because you have sides of yourself that you're ashamed of, so you never let them out. And then they come bursting out suddenly. It's behind the midlife crisis.
Yeah.
It's behind sudden, like, benders. People go on benders.
The holidays for people drink and act up, you know.
Or if they do
that's
any
what they're
kind
for.
of drug or alcohol
Yeah.
where they are a different person. It's because that person is lurking underneath
Yeah.
and getting more rejected and more hate-filled. And it's bad news. It's better to just be a little wild and tame it over time. Like, this is a medium, even video, like, as we have both evolved in using videos, we've kind of, like, shaved it down a little bit. Like, I've whittled myself just, consciously, not judgmentally. I don't know, you can find containers for all these different sides of yourself, but you have to express them,
Yeah.
And
I
it
just
does
haven't.
freak people
I haven't
out, though.
expressed all mine yet.
I think you have in various ways. Even she writes plays.
Not on film.
Yeah, not on
not
film.
since we've been doing this, but I have. I was performing when I was in my early 20s, so I've been through all these different stages of looking different ways and and trying different things on and all that. And what I found over time, because I'm going to be 69 soon, is that several of those selves are me, for real. But they're moods.
Yeah.
As you know, I don't wear blue jeans, but I have a pair of Free People wide leg bell bottom jeans.
There's a time and a place.
and I've got a jacket that goes with that looks pretty spiffy. And then I've got some t-shirts that are, I don't usually wear t-shirts with printing, and but I do in that outfit. And that's a particular mood, and I've got a pair of sparkly silver boots that usually go with that mood.
Yeah. And this is also just the feminine. It doesn't have to be as specific as Gemini. It's what a lot of men are wanting to explore when they think they're a woman, It's just feminine playfulness.
Yeah.
And moodiness, that is because we have, I think, the broader emotional tapestry.
I don't think
Just
we
due
really
to
do.
our
I think that's
hormones.
just the way it's
It
been
is
sold.
different.
I'm sorry,
That's true,
but I
that's true.
raised boys.
Yes.
They've got hormones. They've got hormones.
Martian versus Venusian emotional range.
I think some of it's just societal. People have told women that they're too emotional and told men that they're not.
That part, yes.
And that's not healthy for any of us.
Yeah. But there is like a shade of difference just from the hormones.
Sure.
But I don't know. Really all it comes down to is the idea that we contain multitudes means that we contain within all of us feminine, masculine, plus all the archetypes, plus all the zodiac signs. Like they're all energies that we have to integrate into our being, even if only because they exist outside of us.
Yeah.
It's why we like watching movies and film, because we do identify with every single character, even if it's in the negative.
Yeah, I just got finished binging Never Have I Ever, 4 years of it. And it's about high school kids. And my husband and I would sit there and groan in agony because of the social discomfort. And I told him, I said, don't you wish we'd learned this in high school? Because I just kept seeing all of us old adults running around acting the same way, basically.
Just hiding it.
And I finally told him, I said, this is like therapy, only not quite that painful, I get in some ways, because you can laugh. But it's like bloody therapy watching this show.
Yeah, I just started it last night. So I've only watched one episode, but it's such a stark difference between me and you because I'm already accustomed to all of it. I'm comfortable with it. Like I wasn't back in high school actually.
Yeah.
But now especially our whole culture is just it's all out there.
Yeah.
Nothing is uncomfortable to me anymore. Can you remember some things that specifically made you uncomfortable? Like
oh, you haven't gotten far enough in yet.
You
will
I don't
get
mind
uncomfortable.
the spoilers.
It's emotional stuff.
Yeah.
It's what people do when they're off balance.
Okay.
And I've been that way so much.
Yeah.
You know, and it's had disastrous effects just like it does for this girl.
Yeah.
What it is the triggers her father has died. So she's been through a trauma, and you watch her go through 4 years, and her mom, you know, and
she's trying
I think we need to mention this again because it's probably been a while. We've both been diagnosed as bipolar, but I have severe PTSD. I was abused from I didn't want to use that word. I've had trauma since I was an infant. Behind closed doors with a couple of very uppity families. So nobody
the appearance is not what it
appearance
seems.
was
Like,
everything. So nobody was going to help me ever. Never. We just had an experience 10 days ago where something happened in public, and a gentleman came after me and said something threatening, sexually threatening. And for the first time in my life, I didn't try to pass it off as a joke, which is what I've always done in the past because I was raised to act a certain way. And I stepped toward him, put my hand up, and said, "We're done here." You know, as a matter of fact, what you just threatened has been done to me. Thank you very much. So
it was quite the scene.
It was really something else. But you know, in the past, I talked to another friend of mine who's more my age, and we talked about how this stuff used to always happen behind closed doors, law offices.
And this has helped me.
My gosh, you know, I was around a lot of people with a lot of money, and this stuff always happened behind closed doors.
Yeah,
I was glad he did it in public.
Yeah. Yeah, you end up grateful for the most
the weirdest things.
Yeah. Like, thank you for just being
out of control in public.
Yeah, exactly. So people can see what's really happening.
Yeah, so people really see what's going on. And actually, just in case we do put this online, I want to just top off that story. After this whole thing was over, his friend came over, and I was so impressed because he didn't toss his friend to the wolves. He said he apologized for the behavior, and he said, "There's a story there." And I put my hand on his and I said, "I could probably tell you his story, and it's not that different from mine."
I swear that guy had tears in his eyes. Like, he came over to apologize for his friend's behavior, but not for who his friend was.
Yes. No, I was so impressed with that. I really was.
Yeah.
Because usually people just throw somebody like that to the wolves.
Right, especially if there's been a scene made.
A scene where somebody's going
and
to be
they don't want to
embarrassed.
be associated with them
Right.
whatsoever.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really cool. It was
really was.
It was just a huge.
I ended
beautiful
up
tale. There
crying
was a story
from
we both
being
were.
grateful.
Mhm.
I said to Allison, I said, this is going to change my life. I said, this is the first time in my life this stuff has happened to me often. If you've been traumatized in that way, that young, you have a red A on your forehead, and people come after you the rest of your life. Anybody who's a little bit unhealthy.
It is so wild. This red A that you're. Oh my gosh.
A scarlet letter.
That people are using an upside down A, and which also represents. It used to be a bull, or the devil.
Right.
Like it's
the devil.
So now I've seen with Kesha and with Doja Cat the upside down A, and it also correlates with the feminine form. So like the V here. There's something going on symbolically, and this all happened on the day Venus went opposite Pluto. And it was this enormous.
She's our astrologer.
Karmic, Plutonian.
Yeah.
It was a reconciliation.
Yeah, it was.
It really was.
It really did change my life.
It was so. I mean, I'm like working on it. Like we're gonna present this in some way creatively, other than just telling the tale.
Yeah.
Because there's so much more behind it.
Yeah.
That was just the final domino falling in a karmic cycle for her. Like
it was.
So
it was. It was the first time in my life anybody said anything nice to me after something happened to me.
And you'd had people being nice to her in public for the whole previous week.
Yeah.
And she had already been commenting to me about that, how healing it was to have people actually consoling you and like giving you things.
Yeah.
And
I have never had that before. I've been nothing but despised.
Yeah. Such bullshit.
Yeah. So it was a miraculous thing, really. I've been praying for him since then. I don't know his name, but I think of him ever so often, and I just wish him every good thing, and I hope what I had hoped is that maybe if his friend told him how I responded, it would help his heart.
Yeah.
Because obviously this man was deeply, deeply hurt.
There's at the very least the energy stream from having that holding him in that space within you will be healing.
Yeah.
Even if another person within your lifetime never acknowledges it.
Oh, I know that. I read more science than you do. And the scientists are now saying that if you have even touched somebody, you're connected by your atoms, by the energy field.
I believe that comes through, like, if he's a Christian and he prays to Jesus, then it will come through in
His
that
way.
love.
Yeah.
It will just feed into the filter that someone has on that energy, on the benevolent energy.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's probably been at least 20 minutes. We're trying to...
Oh, yeah. We were
Oh my
doing
gosh,
that,
no. We're only at 14 minutes.
Holy cow.
Time... I keep having this
My
feeling
goodness.
like time must have gone by so fast, but then I end up feeling like it's been made slower for me. Like the vibration has just been slowed down so I can take my time.
Yeah.
But a lot of things are still happening.
Yeah.
It's an interesting feeling.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Like I've really slowed my life down, but then I still see a counselor. I saw my counselor today, and I said, God, it feels like it's been a million years since I saw you. I said, so much has happened.
Yeah, there's a huge irony. When you do slow down and really notice your life, you will pack so much more in. Like, it's wild.
But not by being manic. As
you
a
get nothing
massively
done.
manic, formerly massively manic person, I want to say that it is not the same as pumping yourself up to get things done. Mm-hmm. It's not like that at all.
No,
we have worked together to completely calm our lives down, and
it's just been miraculous. Ever since we met, just endless miracles. We haven't stayed on one creative train necessarily.
Well, this one
we're having so much fun hopping from track to track to track. And yes, we are keeping up with this one, however many times it has to evolve.
Yeah. Well, we knew we were going to. Again, I'm older. I've got the background in performance and all that. So I know things change. That's why you rehearse,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And that's what these are really is. They go up on YouTube, but I watch other people, and you're rehearsing in public, basically.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know, it's what it is. So that's what we've been doing. And I don't feel like we've been jumping from thing to thing. You are mostly astrology. I'm mostly still vibrational patterns and science and sound. I mean, that's what I was before, and I still am.
That's true. Mm-hmm.
You know? So
yeah.
I don't see it as
I think
don't see it as
I'm
jumping
taming
around.
my impulse to jump around.
Okay.
Because yeah, creatively that's been my issue is I'll stick with one thing. It's because I am all cardinal signs for the most part. There's been an evolution in my birth chart, but that aside, cardinal energy is initiatory. It likes to start things, but it's bad at finishing them. So I formerly was a Libra, Aries, Cancer top 3, which are all cardinal signs. And then there's Capricorn as well, which I have a Capricorn stellium also in my chart. So I was just like, I can't finish anything because of my birth chart. And then it turns out I had my birth time wrong. So I'm actually a Taurus rising instead of Aries. And it's like ever since that revelation, I could just easily integrate that fixed, stable energy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just that little perspective. It could, I do think that astrology,
It's just a tool.
it's a made-up system.
Yeah,
it
it's a
really
tool.
is. But when
Yeah.
we create something collectively with that much meaning and that much thought put into it, I mean, we just all, like, the energies line up behind it.
Mm-hmm.
And it becomes true. Not true in the sense that you are what is depicted in your birth chart, but those influences, you can see them so clearly through the lens of astrology and adjust yourself to what you see in that mirror.
Yeah.
It's just so cool. And it's hard not to see it as true, like, because of what
Yeah.
I've seen.
God, I don't remember what month that was. We've been through so many months since the last time we really shot. But I remember going through a thing where I realized that, I think maybe it was reading cards. I've used tarot decks since I was young. Not to ever tell fortunes or anything like that. I use them for meditation and just to try to see what's going on. But what I finally realized is that when I was doing that, I was trying to find a better story for myself than the one that happened. And what I was told about myself by the people who were around me.
Oh, okay.
The people who were around me when all these things were happening to me and I was being raised in this atmosphere. The story that I was told so that there'd be someone to blame, and it was me.
Yeah, you were the scapegoat.
I was the scapegoat
and
child.
Also
Yeah.
the gifted, like literally
Highly gifted, yeah.
so
very
gifted. She intimidated and made everybody jealous.
Yeah, and I was too silly to know that was what was going on. I never got it. I never understood.
I wouldn't have either. That was something
Yeah.
that people were just figuring out at the time, I think.
Yeah. But I realized that I was just looking for a better story.
Yes.
And I stopped using the cards so quite as much for a while. But I realized I love looking at the artwork and telling a story. That's it's just fun.
That is all it is.
It's fun.
So even the whole thing with manifestation, it is about fixing your eye on a horizon. And when you do that, the energies just flood toward that outcome. And if you get pulled away by the past or the story that was told, or even the story, if you have a story that you associate with your own astrological birth chart, you have to set that aside if you want to create something different.
That's what made me think of that when you said that, in a way it gave you permission to be more grounded.
Yeah,
really,
yeah.
And
it's just, nothing stands in your way creatively as far as getting your own life, because we are here to learn of our sovereign powers to create our own life and not to tread on others in the process. That's all it is.
At least in our world.
Yeah. The new world, which
Yeah.
we have stepped into.
Yeah.
And so in like the third dimension, the way we live is an anomaly. But rising into fifth dimensional consciousness, I guess this is just the transformation that everyone will undergo eventually. I don't know. It's happening.
And I will mention this again. We don't always agree about everything.
Yeah,
That's what
yeah.
we love about being together.
Mhm.
Because I have a totally different viewpoint of the whole thing.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
just because I'm different. You know, so when I saw this card, I held up and I said, "This is me."
Mm-hmm.
You know, I felt like I'd been this all my life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and the difference is that now I'm willing to own it.
Yep.
You know, and before I was always trying to hide, trying to outrun, trying to fade into just whoever I was around so they wouldn't notice that I was
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It
bad
makes me think
or
of
whatever I thought of myself at the time.
Once
you know?
all the secrets are
Yeah.
revealed, or once the revelations thing happens,
Yeah.
then there's no hiding, and that's when we find out that we're all like.
The white
It doesn't.
girl.
I don't like the black-white difference because that has its undertones, political undertones, but it's removing the crude oil from our past, like becoming refined, purifying. That's the spiritual process that we're undergoing even as we incarnate through the third dimension.
And see,
seems to me.
if you live in the United States, it's all about the color. But if you're Asian, it's yin and yang.
Yes,
And
both
I
are
think more that
necessary.
way. I
Me
was
too.
raised that way
Me
by my
too.
relatives. So
Mm-hmm.
it's
Mm-hmm.
if you feel different than what I have to say is what I've been saying to some people I've met lately that I actually have a lot in common with, and that's we're all hiding in plain sight.
Mm-hmm.
So whoever you are, you can be loved by somebody. You have to love yourself. You have got to love yourself. You've got to learn to love yourself, and then you won't be hiding in plain sight anymore. You'll
Yes.
start seeing the other folks like you.
Yeah.
And there are
Mm.
plenty. It's a big world.
Magnets.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Are we done?
I think so.
Okay.
Thank you for watching.
Thanks for being
Two
with us
dope
again.
crones.
Yeah.
Sitting in the sun.
Yeah. On a hot day.
We'll see you next time.
Bye, y'all.
So.